Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I'm going to talk about breaking news, MLB baseball, and NFL football. So, before I begin the show, this is the last week of preseason football, and in just 7 days, the regular season starts in the NFL. I'm looking forward to that, and I can't wait for this season to start. I'm looking forward to seeing the Denver Broncos play better as well. So to begin the show, let's start off with some breaking news. Coming out of Ohio State, Urban Meyer, the head coach of Ohio State, is suspended the first 3 games of the football season. And just a few days ago, Odell Beckham agreed to a 5-year extension with the New York Giants to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And also, Aaron Rodgers has signed a record-breaking 4-year extension to remain with the Green Bay Packers. So these are 2 really good deals. It took a while for these deals to be signed, but towards the beginning of the season, we knew it was going to happen. A lot of people thought that it was going to happen in the off season, but it kind of took a while, and both the Giants and the Packers were debating, are these guys franchise players? Do they keep them around? How much are they going to get paid? What type of contract are they going to get? Are they worth the money? So at the end of the day, both the Giants and the Packers decided to keep their franchise players, which is a really good idea. I would not let go of either of these guys. And Odell Beckham will remain with the New York Giants, and Aaron Rodgers will remain with the Green Bay Packers. And I can't wait to see you guys play in this upcoming season. Moving on now, just a few days ago, longtime San Antonio Spur Manu Ginobili announced his retirement after 16 seasons in the NBA. Manu Ginobili is a 4-time NBA champion with the San Antonio Spurs. He is one of the best Spurs that got to play alongside with Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. So I just want to say congrats to Manu Ginobili. I didn't think that last year was going to be your last year. I thought it would be this year, or you still had gas in the tanks, but you decided to retire. So congrats. Enjoy retirement. And the NBA will definitely miss you, and so will the San Antonio Spurs. Moving on now to Major League Baseball. I'm going to give you the updates of every division in both the American League and the National League. August is almost over. September's around the corner, so this is the time of year that it's getting very serious here in baseball. So to start off with the playoff picture, as of right now, the Boston Red Sox are leading the American League East. I do see the Red Sox winning the American League East. They do have a 7.5 game lead over the New York Yankees. In the American League Central, the Cleveland Indians are leading this division. They're going to win this division. There's no other team in the American League Central that's going to catch up to them. In the American League West, the Houston Astros are leading this division, but don't count out the Oakland Athletics quite yet. They're only sitting 2.5 games back. Looking at the current wildcard standings, so in the wildcard you get 2 spots. You have the first team and the second team, and whoever doesn't get into one of those 2 spots, then they're eliminated and they're out of the wildcard race and even the playoffs as well. So right now in the American League wildcard, the New York Yankees are leading the first spot. They have a 4.5 game lead. And in the second spot, the Oakland Athletics are leading the second spot. And the only other team that could catch up to the Athletics is the Seattle Mariners. They are sitting 5.5 games back, but it looks like the American League is pretty set in stone. it's going to be the teams that are leading right now that's going to win their division, except for the American League West. That can be a little bit interesting. The wild card looks like it's going to stay the same as well. But that's not the case with the National League. So looking at the National League East right now, we got the Atlanta Braves leading this division. Don't count out the Philadelphia Phillies quite yet. They're sitting 3.5 games back. In the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs are leading this division. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers are 4.5 games back. So the Cardinals have been catching up and gaining the lead, but they're more looking like they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot with the Brewers as well. And to save the best for last, the National League West, and the most competitive division as well. The Arizona Diamondbacks are leading this division, but you can't count out the Colorado Rockies or the Los Angeles Dodgers quite yet. The Rockies have been winning lately, and they are only a half a game back. This is becoming very interesting. And the Dodgers are only 1 game back as well. So this division is going to come down to the end of the baseball season. Every day it keeps going back and forth, but for right now the Diamondbacks have been leading this division for the last few days. But the Colorado Rockies, my favorite team, they're not sitting that far back. I really hope that they can win the division this year. It would be the first time they've ever won the division. They've always gone as a wild card, and I hope they can just get into the playoffs even if it's a wild card. They definitely have a good team and they deserve to be in the playoffs. And the Dodgers are not sitting that far back either. The National League West is going to be a 3-team race. Now looking at the National League wild card, this is very competitive. So right now, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers are leading the first and the second spot right now. But there's 3 other teams fighting for these 2 spots as well. The Colorado Rockies are fighting for the division and the wild card. They're only sitting a game back of both. The Dodgers are sitting 2 games back of the wild card, and the Philadelphia Phillies are fighting for the wild card, sitting at 3 games back. So it's really going to come down to the end of the baseball season in the National League. That's going to determine to see who wins the division or who wins the wild card. It's very competitive and there's so many teams contending, and my predictions are that the Braves win the National League East, the Cubs win the National League Central, and I hate to say this, but I think the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to win the National League West, and hopefully the Colorado Rockies are fighting for a wild card spot. I just see the Arizona Diamondbacks being the better team right now, and really it's going to come down to who wins games, and if you're losing games, you're just going to fall further back and you're not going to have that great of a chance to win your division. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens here. That's the current standings in baseball right now. And moving on now to some news that happened over the week. The Philadelphia Phillies traded for Jose Bautista. He was on the New York Mets, and they wanted to add another bat to their starting lineup to make a push into the playoffs and to try to get a division lead as well over the Atlanta Braves and fight for the division and not go in as a wild card. Moving on now to Clayton Kershaw and Justin Verlander. So I told you last week that Clayton Kershaw won his 150th game as a starting pitcher, and Justin Verlander won his 200th game as a starting pitcher. So the question is both Clayton Kershaw and Justin Verlander going to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame? I would say yes. So right now I'm going to compare Clayton Kershaw to Justin Verlander and the 2 careers that they've had. So to start off with Clayton Kershaw, he has played his entire career with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He throws left-handed. He made his debut back in May of 2008. His win-loss record right now is 150-69. And in almost every category, he leads with earned run average, strikeouts, and looking at his career highlights and awards, he is a 7-time All-Star, a National League MVP back in 2014, a 3-time National League Cy Young Award, a Triple Crown Award, a Gold Glove Award, a 3-time National League wins leader, a 5-time National League ERA leader, a 3-time National League strikeout leader, and he also pitched a no-hitter back in June of 2014. I was really hoping that he would pitch this no-hitter, but unfortunately it was against the Colorado Rockies at Dodger Stadium, so it sucked that it had to be against the Rockies, but I'm glad he got a no-hitter. It is his only no-hitter. I wish he would have done it against another team, but that's just the way it was. So congrats to Clayton Kershaw and the career you're having. Moving on now to Justin Verlander. So Justin Verlander has been on 2 different teams. He's played most of his career with the Detroit Tigers, but at the trade deadline last year, he got traded to the Houston Astros, and this year he plays on the Astros as well. So Justin Verlander throws right-handed. He made his debut back in July of 2005 for the Detroit Tigers. Looking at Justin Verlander's record, he has 201 wins to 122. His earned run average is 341. His strikeouts is over 2,500. Teams that he's played for the Detroit Tigers for most of his career. He did have a World Series appearance, but they did not win the World Series. He's also been on the Houston Astros since last year, and he was on the team when the Astros went to the World Series against the Dodgers, and believe it or not, the Astros did pull it out in Game 7. And the Houston Astros are the 2017 World Series champions. Justin Verlander's career highlights: he's a 7-time All-Star, a World Series champion last year. He's an American League MVP back in 2011, an American League Cy Young Award, Triple Crown Award, American League Rookie of the Year, American League Championship Series MVP, a 2-time Major League Baseball wins leader, American League ERA leader, a 4-time American League strikeout leader, and he's also pitched 2 no-hitters back in 2007 and 2011 with the Detroit Tigers. So the only advantage that I would give to Justin Verlander is he does have 50 more wins than Clayton Kershaw. He is a World Series champion. He is the American League Rookie of the Year, and he pitched 2 no-hitters. So some of his numbers are a little bit higher than Clayton Kershaw's, but they are both very good starting pitchers. They're 2 of the best players in baseball as well. So I do see both Clayton Kershaw and Justin Verlander getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame when they do retire. So congrats to Clayton Kershaw and to Justin Verlander on your career. I can't wait to see how you do the rest of the season and for the remainder of your career. Moving on now to football. I'm going to give you the final scores from the 3rd week of preseason football. So to start off, we had the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cleveland Browns. The final score was the Browns won 5-0. The New England Patriots versus the Carolina Panthers. The final score, the Panthers win 25-14. The New York Giants versus the New York Jets. The final score, the Giants win 22-16. The Denver Broncos versus the Washington Redskins. The final score, the Broncos win 29-17. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Minnesota Vikings. The final score, the Vikings win 21-20. The Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The final score, the Lions win 33-30. The Green Bay Packers versus the Oakland Raiders. The final score, the Raiders win 13-6. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Chicago Bears. The final score, the Bears win 27-20. The Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Rams. The final score, the Rams win 23-20. The Tennessee Titans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The final score, the Steelers win 16-6. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Indianapolis Colts. The final score, the Colts win 23-17. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The final score, the Jaguars win 17-6. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins. The final score, the Ravens win 27-10. The New Orleans Saints versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The final score, the Saints win 36-7. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Buffalo Bills. The final score, the Bengals win 26-13. And the Arizona Cardinals versus the Dallas Cowboys. The final score, the Cardinals win 27-3. So that's the final scores and all the matchups in the third week of preseason football. So another thing about preseason football, the final scores really don't matter, but in the third week of preseason football, the starters play the entire first half. And looking at all these games, and especially the Broncos, the starting offense looked great. I can't wait to see what they do in the regular season. Being able to see the starters really shows how great of a team they are, even though it's only preseason. They looked great in the preseason, especially this week, so I'm looking forward to them when the regular season starts. They look like they're going to be a better team. And another thing too is when the second string, the backups, the third strings come in, they also want to play good too, even though they're just playing the second half of the game, because they're also fighting for backup jobs and even to make the team as well. So you really want to play good in these preseason games, because if you're not a big name or you're not considered a starter, your job's definitely in jeopardy. So nobody's safe. And moving on to now to the fourth week of preseason football, none of the starters play in the fourth week. It's the final week. All the games are tonight as well. So tune in to the Denver Broncos versus the Arizona Cardinals and all the other games taking place as well. All the starters sit, but it's still a good game to watch because you get to see all the backups and the third string players play. And depending on how this game goes for them, that's going to determine if they make the team or they don't make the team. But another thing too is if they don't make the team, they got film, so there's other teams that could be interested in picking them up, because once you cut players, you can definitely pick up other players, especially if you need help or you need backups as well. So just because you get cut from the current team you're on doesn't mean your career's over. But looking at the fourth week of preseason football, in the final week, and in just 7 days, the regular season finally starts. To kick off the regular season next Thursday, we got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Super Bowl 52 champions, Philadelphia Eagles. The Super Bowl champions from the previous year always kick off the regular season, so I'm looking forward to that game. But to tell you all the matchups in tonight's preseason games, we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Detroit Lions, the Miami Dolphins versus the Atlanta Falcons, the New York Jets versus the Philadelphia Eagles, the New England Patriots versus the New York Giants, the Indianapolis Colts versus the Cincinnati Bengals, the Washington Redskins versus the Baltimore Ravens, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Carolina Panthers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Los Angeles Rams versus the New Orleans Saints, the Buffalo Bills versus the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Tennessee Titans, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Houston Texans, the Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the Denver Broncos versus the Arizona Cardinals, the Los Angeles Chargers versus the San Francisco 49ers, and the Oakland Raiders versus the Seattle Seahawks. So that's all the matchups in the final week of preseason football. So moving on now, last week I told you that Pat Bowlen, the Denver Broncos owner, was named a contributor finalist. So we have to wait until February to see if he gets voted into the Hall of Fame, but he has a really good chance. I hope that he gets into the Hall of Fame next year. He definitely deserves it for everything that he's contributed to the Denver Broncos and across the NFL. And believe it or not, Jerry Jones is in the NFL Hall of Fame already. In my opinion, Pat Bowlen should have been in the Hall of Fame first before Jerry Jones. You want to know why Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame? It's because he's the owner and GM of the Dallas Cowboys. So, because those Cowboys are considered America's team, and they're a big franchise, big market. They're also the richest team in sports, and especially in the NFL. They're always going to get more recognition than a lot of other teams. So right now I'm going to compare Pat Bowlen to Jerry Jones. So looking at their careers as an owner, to start off with Pat Bowlen, he is the owner of the Denver Broncos since 1984. Another thing about Pat Bowlen is his career highlights. He's a 7-time AFC champion, a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and believe it or not, for Pat Bowlen being an owner, he has had more winning seasons, division champions, conference championship appearances, and Super Bowl appearances than losing seasons. The Denver Broncos are definitely one of the best franchises in the NFL, and to see Jerry Jones inducted into the Hall of Fame before Pat Bowlen was a bit disturbing to me, because now to compare Jerry Jones to Pat Bowlen, yes, the Dallas Cowboys is the richest franchise in the NFL and across sports. They do have a really nice stadium. It's AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Been there before. But looking at his career highlights, yes, he is the owner, the GM. He takes care of the Dallas Cowboys since 1989. The Cowboys have had some really big name players to play for them since he's been owner as well. They are a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Jerry Jones was named the 2014 NFL Executive of the Year. But another thing about the Cowboys is they've also had a lot of losing seasons. They've had a lot of times throughout the time Jerry Jones has been owner of the Cowboys, they haven't made it into the playoffs. They don't have that many playoff appearances, conference championship appearances, Super Bowl appearances. They've had good teams with the quarterbacks they've had, but they haven't been as consistent and winning as many games and getting into the playoffs and to the Super Bowl like the Denver Broncos had. So, Pat Bowlen, 2019 is your year. You're going to get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. There is no reason why you shouldn't be in the NFL Hall of Fame. And you will get there. And the day you do, I will be very happy with all the other Denver Broncos fans, and you definitely deserve it. And we definitely miss you, Pat Bowlen. Moving on now to the end of the show, what to watch for this week. The NFL regular season starts in 7 days. The first game is next Thursday between the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Phillies. Then all the other games are on Sunday, and there's 2 games on Monday Night Football as well. For the Denver Broncos, they opened the season here at Mile High Stadium against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm definitely looking forward to this upcoming season. They got Case Keenum. They believe they got a quarterback now. They got a better offense, defense. They had one of the best drafts that they've ever had. They got a lot of good rookies like Bradley Chubbs, Courtland Sutton. I'm really looking forward to them. Looking forward to Case Keenum and just how this team plays better on offense and defense. They definitely got to win more games. Vance Joseph, you're getting another chance. So don't mess it up, because if you do, you're going to be out this year. You got lucky last year because we really didn't have quarterbacks. But if the season turns out to be worse or the same and not better, which it should be better, you're definitely out. Also, look forward to this weekend when the NFL teams do their cuts. Paxton Lynch's name has been mentioned. I heard that he does want to stay in Denver, but there's multiple reports that he will be cut or traded from the Denver Broncos, so let's watch out for that. Also, the end of August is coming to an end, and September's getting ready to start, so the final month of baseball is going to be very interesting. Looking forward to that as well. And if you're a CU or CSU fan, the Rocky Mountain Showdown is at Mile High Stadium tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely a CU fan. I like Boulder, so I am going to be rooting for CU. They did win the game last year, and I think they're going to win tomorrow as well, so looking forward to that. And also, Labor Day weekend's coming up. The Rockies will be here on Labor Day. They're going to play against the Giants. And if you're here in the Denver area, start going to the Rockies games, because they are playing very good baseball, and they do have a chance in getting into the playoffs, and they need all the support from all the fans, and they'll do what they need to do on the field. But if we can help them out, that's going to give them the energy to play better baseball and to win games, especially here at Coors Field. So I hope they don't miss the playoffs, and I can't wait for the final month of baseball and to go to some more Rockies games. And after all the games in the NFL conclude today, the preseason's over, the regular season will start, and all 32 NFL rosters will be cut from 90 players down to a 53-man roster. So look forward to that this weekend, seeing who makes the team, who doesn't make the team. For the Denver Broncos, they definitely got to keep Phillip Lindsay. And you should all know this. We've seen enough of Paxton Lynch. They definitely need to cut or trade him as well. and I'm just looking forward to seeing who makes the team for the Denver Broncos and all other 31 teams as well. It's going to be interesting to see who stays on the team or who doesn't. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports here on mymetmedia.com. Until next time, this is Gerardo.